My name is Aishwarya Ashok, and I work as a product marketer in a company called Zoho. First of all, I hope you're all staying in safe and healthy. And I hope this quarantine is keeping you occupied with a lot of activities. And one such thing is what GUVi is doing. I'm so happy to see the initiative that they're taking to keep us all connected, to help us learn new things from each other. So first of all, thanks to the GUVi team for organizing this. So to just give a brief about myself, I consider myself as a tech humanist. So somebody who is passionate about empowering people with technology. And my 4 years of product marketing experience, that's a whole thought that I've always had right from the beginning. And it's a thought that I would take for myself even in the upcoming years of the product space. Maybe that's why something in me always put me into the community. I was always loving to be a part of the community, of product community, talk to a lot of like-minded people around and learn new things from them, also sharing whatever I can from my space. So yeah, I'm associated with communities like Women in Product of Chennai chapter and the broadcast community. And apart from that, I co-run an NGO called LoanPack, and we work for promoting mental wellness and for shattering the stigma around mental health. So if you don't find me talking about technology and product, you can find me sitting in a corner painting. I'm a painter, and I also write a lot, so I'm into poetry. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell. So what I'm going to be doing now is taking you through the session for today, and it's going to be a pretty straightforward session. Switch off the video for now and let's get into the webinar mode. And towards the end, I'll come online once again and like whatever questions you may have for me, I'm happy to hear that. So works with all of you, I believe. So today's webinar is going to be more of a primer into product marketing. So we're going to start with saying what is product marketing, and who are these product marketers? What kind of activities they do, and how is product marketing related to the product space? What are the things that I should know about it? So that's pretty much going to be the discussion for today. And I'm not going very much into the intricate details of product marketing because I'm going to reserve that for another session altogether. But today's session is primarily going to answer most of the basic questions that you may have about product marketing, like what is it and who are these people and how are they associated with products? And for somebody who is just getting started with product marketing, this is more like giving you what skills you should have and what can you look forward to in a product marketing career. And I'm going to share some of my learnings, whatever I picked up over the last couple of years. And let's keep it as a very casual discussion. So once I'm done, I'm all ears to listen to your questions or whatever you may have to connect with me. So let's quickly get started. So I think when we want to learn about a topic, the very first thing we do is define something. Like, define this, define that. Likewise, how are we to define product marketing? I am bringing this up as a question because over the last few years, I've had a lot of people walk up to me and ask me, hey, what's product marketing? I'm intrigued. What is it? Some people think it's all so fancy the minute they hear the word marketing. They think it's very fancy. It's a glamorous job. Some people are very unclear about what it is. They're more like, hey, what is product marketing? How different is it from product management? What do you guys actually do? And what's your job role like? So I think there is a lot of questions around product marketing. So the very first thing we're going to do today is break down what product marketing is all about. And we're going to do that as a small experiment because I'm going to tell you an uncomplicated way of explaining product marketing. As a product professional, if there's one skill that I've learned so far, it is to uncomplicate things. So I think we've always been stuck to this fact that when we want to learn a definition, we just go to Google and then type out what is product marketing or what is product management, and there are like hundreds of articles that are displayed, and you just go click one article and start learning about it, and all the Wikipedia kind of definitions come up. Let's pause that and let's for once understand the very basic terminologies as to what is product marketing. And that experiment is going to be explaining to a 6-year-old kid as to what product marketing is. Imagine, it may be your kid, it may be your colleague's son or daughter, or it might be your niece or nephew who's just walking up to you and asking, what's product marketing? So how are you going to explain what is product marketing to a 6-year-old kid? So let's begin the experiment by choosing something more tangible, something that they would understand in their terms. So let's pick an ice cream store. Most kids would love ice cream. So let's pick up an ice cream store. So you tell the kid there's an ice cream store that's just opened across the street. But for this ice cream store to come into place, there are many things for consideration. There are a couple of people who should first understand if this is the right area to launch a store. If there are many kids in this area who would like ice cream, if so, what are the flavors of ice cream that they would like? Because if you're going to randomly choose flavors and keep random flavors, obviously when the kids are not going to like these flavors, they're not going to buy from the shop. So the quality of ice creams that are going to be kept in the shop. And when is the right time to launch the store? Because if kids are on vacation, it's going to like really catch up because these kids are going to come and purchase ice creams almost on a daily manner. So there are a couple of activities for understanding when and why the store should be started in this area. Not stopping with that, you also move on to explain to the kid that once the shop is opened, it is such a way that you have to attract more kids to the shop. Imagine the shopkeeper just has like 2 kids on the first day getting ice creams. And after that, he or she is just going to go about without any sale. Then how is it going to bring in more money to the shop? So naturally, the shopkeeper and the couple of members associated in his team should think about how to bring in more kids in this area to get more ice creams, how to bring in more money, and how to keep this whole shopping experience in a very smooth manner. Because say about 20 kids are lining up in the shop, and if the shopkeeper is just going to take like about 20 minutes to address each kid, all the kids are going to get irritated and they're not going to go to the shop again. So how can you make these parents in the area to bring their kids very often, and how can you make sure that these kids get the ice cream in the easiest manner so that they come and purchase multiple times? This is the next set of questions that we should be addressing. And do you know what? The people behind this are exactly known as product marketers. If you may just see, before the launch and after the launch, the couple of activities that went in are basically what product marketers also think about when it comes to products. I mean, now you might just stop and ask me, hey, enough of all lame explanations, enough of simple explanations. What happens to all those terms like, go-to-market strategy, content strategy, positioning? What happens to all of these? What are all of these then? You're explaining to me in such simple terms. Yes. So all of these terms come into play when the ice cream shop is replaced by a product. Imagine that there is a product that your company has recently launched, and you pretty much do the same thing that you just explain to the kid about the ice cream store. You go on to see if this product is having a good market. You go on to see if how many people are there with needs that your product addresses, and you go on to launch this product. And once this product is launched, you start bringing in more customers, do a lot of engagement with them, and make sure that more people get to use your product, and hence there's better sales. In a nutshell, this is exactly what product marketers do. And all of these jargon terms that you would have seen is pretty much covered in these simple activities of knowing who your market is and seeing if your product could address the market. So for product marketing, it is product plus knowing the market and connecting both. And that's going to give you what product marketing is all about. So now that we saw what product marketing is all about, let's move on to dig a little deeper, because so far I think we would have got like a clear view of who product marketers are and what is really keeping them with the product space. But that's not enough for us, because we really have not seen what activities these product marketers do on a daily basis. So we will have to think and explore more to understand where product marketing fits in this product space and how product marketers do their activities. To do this, we're going to do another experiment. And this experiment is going to be the reverse way of learning product marketing, which is knowing what product marketing is not, and thereby understanding what product marketing is. So for the next couple of slides, I'm going to be telling you all about the basic misconceptions that people have about product marketing. So by misconceptions, I mean people understand product marketing in a way that it is actually not. And I do not blame people, because they might have this misconception because of, say, various reasons. Maybe because their organization does not have recruitment for product marketing, or they do not have a product marketing vertical, or maybe they have some outdated information that they have not interacted with many product marketers to know what exactly these marketers do. So there are multiple reasons for having these misconceptions. And for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to go and break each of this misconception and tell you all about what product marketing actually is by understanding what it is not. So let's deal with it one by one. The first one, marketers don't have to know much about the product. Oh yes, I think I've heard this from a lot of people. So I think a lot of people over the couple of years have walked up to me and asked me like, hey, so what do you guys do? Like, should you know the product? Because the minute they hear the term marketing, they automatically start associating the term with something called as a campaign. God knows if they know what a campaign is, because immediately they start thinking about a campaign and all about budget and different social channels and promoting ads on social media, going and putting an ad or a headline on Google AdWords, using Google Analytics to track what is happening, putting up a blog, putting up a website, and tracking people. And for them, marketing is all about associating it with a megaphone like illustration, where you're bringing out a voice to the community. Well, marketing is definitely that. But as long as you know what you're really marketing, you don't know how to go about with it. And the actual reality is, you need product. Without product, it is not possible for you to do actual marketing. So when people say marketers don't have to know about the product, that's the first biggest misconception, because marketers really should know about the products. It's simply because product marketing is a function of three different sections. One is the technology, two is sales, and three is marketing. So by technology, I mean the product or the services that your company is offering. And by sales, I mean the ability of you to connect and bring in more customers to purchase the product that your company has developed. And marketing rightly fits in this space, where you are bringing that attention and that desirability in people to take note of the product and actually buy the product. So product marketing is like a niche space that is somewhere sitting in between the intersection of these three departments. So as a product marketer, you just cannot go about saying, all I need to know is just do promotions, because you're getting the things wrong there. If you don't know what you're promoting, which is if you don't know the product, you can't really do a very good job. So you need to know about the product, you need to know your sales domain, and you also need to know how to promote. And that's where product marketing lies. You might still have questions. You might still say, hey, why should I know about the product? There's a team called product management team, and there's a team, product development, who's sitting and developing the product. So once the product is developed, they're just going to come and give me the details. And all I have to do is just make sure that the product is reaching to the market. That's it, right? So why should I know about the product is what you can ask me. But I've got reasons to tell you why you should be knowing about the product. It's because you are not any random marketer. You're not a social marketer. You are a product marketer, which means the product is the king. You are defined by the product. So if you don't know the product, you obviously cannot perform your marketing in the best manner. It's because I call product marketers as the stepstones or the bridge between the actual market, which is the customers who use the product, and the actual team that is building the product. So what you do is you act as a connector between the team, you take the product to the market and see how the adaptability is. How do people use the product? And you take the inputs from this market, bring it back to the product team, work with them to fine tune the product and make it more relevant to the market, because the market is extremely dynamic. It keeps changing. People's needs are changing. So you are this dynamic person connecting these two sections together. So the minute you don't know section A, which is the product, you do not know what you're selling. So basically, you're going to go to customers without a sound understanding of what you're giving them. So naturally, you will not get the inputs, you will not get the right inputs from them. So you fail at section B. So if you don't get section B inputs, you can't bring back anything to section A. So basically, your connection is sort of an imbalance. So when you don't have a balance between both of these, that's when you fail as a marketer. So as a product marketer, product is going to bind your marketing knowledge and your ability to connect with customers. And that's why it's important, because you align products with customers, and you just don't deal only with always putting out the voice of the brand, but you're putting out the voice of the brand and connecting it with customers. Last but not the least, you are the actual person who's trying to bring the entire storyline for a product. If a product is existing, you bring the whole story to it. You bring out the reason why the product is there and what does it do for people. So when you don't know about the product, you are not going to be able to perform your tasks the best way. And you might ask me, so what do you mean by doing the product? Like, should I know the code, or should I like just know what JavaScript they're using? What medium are they using? What is the language they're using to build the whole product? No, by product knowledge, I don't mean that you should be technically strong. Rather, you should know about all the programming languages that they're using. By product knowledge, I mean to understand what is the product capable of, and what are its features like, and what does it give to the community, to the customers who are using it, so that at any point in time, you can always address the needs of the customer. Let's think this as an example. Say you're using a product that is going to help you take a webinar like this. As a webinar software, you should know the nicks and knacks of what is there as a part of the product. You should know what it means to broadcast. You should know what it means to dial in. You should know how somebody who's stuck without knowing how to broadcast their screen will actually be able to do it. So all of these are certain intricacies, the features of your product. So the minute you don't know these features, you're not able to address these customers who come to you with specific knowledge, because each of them have specific needs. Some people might use a webinar software for on-demand trainings. Some people might just use it only for video calls. There are multiple ways in which the same product could be used. So this is where your product knowledge is going to come strong. So I hope this has given you some understanding about why product knowledge is important. We're jumping up next to the second misconception, or the myth that most of us have in our minds. That is, marketing is just a standalone static job. Oh my God, I think I've seen a lot of people think about this as a static job. They think marketing team is, just like a couple of people sitting in a corner, and they just have like a checklist of items to do. And the minute they do each task, they can just keep ticking. And yeah, once the tasks are over, marketing is over. Well, if only it was as simple as that, because marketing needs a lot of work, especially product marketing involves a lot of cross-functional work. Here's a snapshot of the number of teams that product marketers need to work with on a daily basis. You might just wonder, like, why is she mentioning all of the product avenues on the screen? Why is she showing like literally every product department available? That is because product marketing actually works with every little department in the product space, starting with sales and pre-sales, moving on to support and consulting, product management, development, design, testing, and QA. Product marketing has a role to play with in each of these, as in product marketers have to collaborate with people who represent each of these domains. Let me quickly take you through each of these for you to understand how product marketing fits in this space, because you might just get a lot of questions right now seeing all of these domains right on the screen. Let's start with sales, pre-sales, support, and consulting. So as you can see, marketing, sales, pre-sales, support, consulting, these three are basically customer-facing domains. So people who represent these three domains are people who interact with customers on a day-to-day basis. Let's take the sales and the pre-sales team. So most of the tasks of the sales and pre-sales team involve dealing with a lot of prospects and leads who are showing interest in the product that your company is offering. So they might have a lot of questions, because some might come with prior knowledge. Some might not even know what they really want. And it's the ability of the salesperson to actually dig deeper and understand if there is a need for this specific product. So as product marketers, you enable these salespeople to close more deals and hence bring in more revenue. How is that possible? Yes, we're just going to see that now. So as product marketers, one of your major works is to do competitor analysis, to see what kind of alternatives are there in the market that people are using to address their requirements, and see how nicely the company or the product that you are offering is fitting in the space. So you do a lot of these competitor studies, you understand what features these competitors provide, and you start highlighting the specific features that you are capable of and you provide in a very distinct manner that might be useful for customers. So naturally, you work with your sales team, constantly updating them about, hey, this is something that you can highlight to customers the next time you talk to them. You can highlight it to prospects and leads who come in asking you a lot of questions. So a process in this is to build buyer persona. So we just saw an example of webinar software. Imagine that you have to form a buyer's persona for webinar software. Who can use webinar software? I think in this current remote working time and in this current crisis time, a lot of us require, like we're just connected over a webinar software for a webinar. Imagine there are multiple needs for the same webinar software. The buyer of a webinar software can be, say, a training organization that is looking to train a lot of people through online courses. Maybe a brand that is trying to do video calls with its employees. Maybe a training academy that is trying to connect with the remote workers across multiple locations. There are many cases and there are many bio personas for the same product. So as a product marketer, you know about the market and you deal with these leads and these prospects on a daily basis. So you can tell your sales and the pre-sales team what kind of personas they can be ready to treat with. And once these leads and prospects are there on board and show an initial interest in purchasing your product, that's when the whole onboarding comes into play. You help the sales and the pre-sales team set up onboarding messages like emails, SMSs, or chat transcripts, calls, and all of these, and keep them always engaged and updated about what information to tell to these leads and prospects. And next comes the most interesting part. Obviously, you're not going to stop with just like 10 leads and say, I'm done for this month. Obviously, as salespeople have a lot of pressure closing more deals and bringing in more leads and prospects, you act as a channel for them. You try giving them all the sales enablement documents. You try pointing out why your software is the best. You prepare presentations. You give them trainings. You give them demos so that they always understand what best to highlight in the product and how to deal with each of these customers in a unique way. So with sales and pre-sales, your job is pretty much always to align with them, to prep them up to deal with the right leads in the right manner. When it comes to support and consulting, again, it's a customer-facing role, but it's slightly different in this case because the support and consultants, they don't deal with new leads or prospects directly. Rather, they deal with the users of your product. These are people who are using your product on a day-to-day basis. And this is exactly where product marketers can play a very huge role because you get to understand the whole customer journey. You see what are the emotional points of these people when they use the product. What are the high points? What are the low points? When was the last time your user was satisfied with the product? What are the bugs they're facing? What is it that they're not able to achieve with your product? All of these are valuable data that you can just obtain from your support desk software or by just sitting with your support consultants and talking to them on a daily basis. And you get a lot of product extension ideas. As personally, I still remember the day that when I started my product marketing, the first couple of months I spent in actually talking to these support people, working with them on taking a few calls with them and trying to understand what really is happening with customers when they're trying to use the product. And that gave me a better scope to understand what kind of feedback, what kind of suggestions, what ideas these customers or the users have when they're trying to use your product. And that gives you more ideas to come up with a lot of content to enhance your website better, to highlight the best features possible. Because when you see that a group of people are using certain specific features of your product, you know this is certainly working, and you can always take it back and optimize your website, optimize your content strategy in a better manner. So we just saw how this customer facing thing is all about. Next, moving on to the product building aspect of it, which the product management and the product development team does. So with the product management team, fairly have an idea about the prospects and the leads and the users who are using the product. So when it comes to the product management team, you start analyzing a little deeper into what is happening with these users when they use the product. What are their flows like? Like once they sign up, what is their first action? And what are they doing inside the product? What are those sections that give them the most, the most benefits that they want? What are those sections that they're not using at all inside the product? All of these usage points can be easily tracked, and you work in alignment with the product management team to understand this because you have a fair sense of the users and the market. And you also know about the touch points. Say, let's take the same webinar software. There are people who buy the software by seeing ads on social media. There might be people who might buy the software because their friends suggested it to them. There might be people who buy it through, say, directly from the website. So there are multiple channels through which these customers might come in from. So users generally have different touch points. So as marketers, you have a very fair knowledge about these touch points, which can further enhance the product management team to form proper roadmaps in creating better features and making the product more aligned with the market, which is the same case with enhancements. And sometimes people might walk up to you and say, hey, I think I would like to have an integration with this service, or I think I would like to have this particular API so that I can fetch my data in a proper manner. So as product marketers, you also work with these product management folks to understand what kind of integrations make more sense in the current market. A lot of companies today are building marketplaces. So a marketplace is a space where you have a lot of product listings, and the customers can use these marketplace as an extension to connect their software with multiple other services that they want to fetch the data from, because data is very, very important in the current date. So I think you play a major role there in understanding what kind of extensions these people want, and you can rightly work with your team in order to fetch that and provide it to the people. Moving on to customer case studies. So once you know that a particular user is using it in this way and you think it's beneficial, it's going to benefit the entire community, you just go talk to them, understand, prepare video testimonials, get case studies, and actually publish it on multiple fronts. So this is another important aspect. And pricing and subscriptions is another major place where product marketers have to work a lot, understanding the whole sign-up journey of a user. So what kind of plan do they sign up for, and what kind of journey they take? Supposing there is a free trial plan, what should be included in the plan, what should not be included, and what is the flow that somebody who signs up for a free trial should take, what is the flow that somebody who pays for the product should take. So there are multiple cases in which you need to consider different aspects before you actually go in and speak to your product management folks. So these are the multiple avenues through which you can support the management team and help them prepare a product roadmap in a better manner. Moving on to the product development, I think there's I wouldn't call it the maximum interaction, but there is sort of a minimal interaction when it comes to product development team. But definitely, it's an interaction that is definitely required, because say you are talking to your support folks or the consultants, and you see that there is a specific feature that is being built because it is addressing a certain sections of people, and the product development team is working hard on this. As a product marketer, you have a very important task of bringing the whole story towards the feature that they are developing. You are bringing the reason of existence of this particular feature and hence the product. So you work with the product development team in close, attend a lot of these demo meetings, get a personalized training from them to see what is this feature, sit on with them, have discussions, ask a lot of questions. I think as a product marketer, the first thing you need to develop is the ability to ask the right questions. So you ask a lot of questions to understand the why behind the feature and understand how this is going to fit the market and get the whole story out there. The last set is going to be design and your testing and quality assurance team. So I think when it comes to design, people overlook this factor in a very great manner, because I think a lot of people think marketers just need a designer's help only when it comes to putting some information out. Like say, for example, I'm a marketer and I'm going to be using, or I'm going to be publishing a blog, or I'm going to be putting out a social post. People think marketers just go to the design people, just say, hey, I'm going to put this blog out and this is a title. Can you just prepare an image? And they think the design team is just going to come up with an image and just show it to the marketing team and they're just going to go and publish. But if only it was as simple as that. Because the problem is when you don't give the designers the right information that they should know for bringing out the actual design, the whole concept is lost. So when you're not going to tell them what they're designing for and why they're designing for, you are not giving them the right pathway. You're not helping them design the best thing possible so that you will not able to connect with your customers ultimately. Let's take the simple case, for example. Let's take the UI text, the user interface that your customer sees once they sign into the product, the messages, the onboarding tutorial, the reminders that they see inside the product. If you're not going to talk to your design team and tell them these are the kind of people that will log into the product, and these are the kind of people, these are the features that they are currently using, and this is how they skip these features. So this is how we have to target these people so that they do not skip these features. If you don't give them enough research elements, they're not going to come up with the right framework, because they don't know, they don't understand the essence. So this is how you as product marketer work with the design folks, and together you bring out a better an interface that actually works good with customers. And the same case with respect to any promotional material. Let's take a social media campaign. Let's take all of these current campaigns that are currently running. Like, let's take the stay-at-home videos. Let's take multiple brands that are currently putting out these video call stuff, currently putting out stay connected videos. For all of these, there should be a conceptualization, and there should be sort of a message that is being delivered. And if marketers don't work with these design folks telling them the core message, the output is definitely not going to be better aligned with the market that you're trying to target. And the last thing is going to be testing and QA. This is also pretty much similar to the development aspect of it. You don't have a very interpersonal sort of a relationship, but again, you definitely talk to your testers, you definitely talk to your QA people to understand what is the current status of a lot of things in the product, when it comes to bugs and fixes, when it comes to feature functioning, when it comes to fixing some aspects of the product, taking a new build. So slowly and gradually you start building a relationship with your testers. So whenever there is a downtime, and whenever there is something that needs to be addressed in the product, and customers are actually asking you, and because you're facing the customers directly, you know what to answer them, and you know what kind of answer to give them. So this is only because you get to work with people from all of these product domains. So for just a quick snapshot, I think now you understand that marketing or product marketing is not just like a standalone job where you just sit in one corner and everything happens to you automatically and comes to you automatically. But it's more of coordination. It's more of getting things done along with other product folks so that you can target the customer in the best way. So that is pretty much to do with cross-functional teams. Let's move on to the third misconception that we have, which is the product story should focus more on competitors. You might ask me now, hey, this seems like a proper statement. It's not like a myth or a misconception. Isn't it true? Isn't it a fact that you should know about the competitors to focus more on the product story that you're building? Well, it definitely is true. I'm not denying. But just obsessing over only competitors is a misconception that most people have about marketing. They think product story is lying totally only upon competitors, while the reality is focusing on customers and caring for customers and what they care about. Any point in time, when it comes to product marketing, customers take the precedence over competition. This does not mean, or I'm not denying the fact that all your competitor studies, all your competitor analysis are going to go waste. Definitely not. Because that's the first step as a competitor. I mean, that's the first step as a marketer that you would be doing to understand who are these alternatives currently in the market and what are they providing to your customers that you are currently not doing, or what are they providing distinctly that you have to also see and do something new from your end. So all of these competition study is definitely important. But when it comes to product story, the essence or the true message of the product story comes out only when you know your customers more better than the competitors. So knowing your customers well is the first step to product marketing, because at the end of the day, great product marketing comes down to understanding the customers and being more empathetic with them. So how's this customer focus being built? It's not like I'm just walking up to a fellow marketer and saying, hey buddy, just go understand the customer and everything is done. And they also say, hey, yeah, I understand the customer. Is it as simple as just nodding your heads and saying you understand the customer? It's actually not. Because to understand the customer, it takes a lot of activities from your end. And this is pretty much what I've summed up here. The couple of questions that you need to be asking yourself as a marketer and working with the multiple teams that you're currently doing to understand if their work are also aligned with understanding the customer as much as possible. Let's start with the first one. Why they use. So why does your customer use the product? You need to know the core reason, because anything starts with a problem statement. So the first step for you is to understand the problem statement, see what the customer is wanting, and this is the reason why the customer is using the product. So the minute you understand the reasoning, the next couple of actions that you do will be most aligned way in as much as possible. The second step is going to be what they want. So when you know that this is the problem statement, this is what they have as a requirement in their end, you understand the answer to what they want because you've cracked it. You know what they want. At least one half of your building journey is now simplified because you know what customers want. So you can naturally target them in the best manner. But there is also another important thing to remember here, for both for product marketing and the product management folks who work together with the product marketers. It's understanding when to know what they want. Because there is a common misconception with respect to being more customer focused, called as customer obsession. There's a product leader whose name is David Blunt, and he's defined rightly something called as the product death cycle. So the product death cycle consists of three stages. The first stage is nobody's using the product. Second stage is since nobody's using the product, these product folks come up with new ways to ask customers what they want. So customers here, there, everywhere give a huge list of things to be added to the product. And these product folks actually go on to create what each of these customer wants. And that's the third step, addressing these customer needs and actually creating everything that the customer says. And you know what's the next step in the cycle? It's going back to the same point where you started, nobody using the product. So why is it happening? You are building what the customer wants, but why is it the cycle is going back to the same spot where it started, where again there is nobody using the product? It's because it's called product death cycle, and it's simply because you have not given a keen measure as to why the customer wanted what they wanted. All you were trying to hear was what they want, but you did not understand why they wanted it. Because customers today can come in from every direction and ask you a lot of things. Some of them are well informed about what they're asking. Some of them might not know much about technical aspects and might just give you like a list of things that they want. While it's fair enough that you as product marketers should try to understand and work with the product management team to address their needs, it's also important for you to optimize and do like a triage to understand what are the things that could be taken for addressing and what are the things that are really not going to be dealt with your product at the current time. Because there are cases where certain features that these customers ask need not be built with so much bandwidth of people, with so much resources and with so much time, because just a slight alteration to an existing feature could actually address the need of a customer. And you, without asking the reason of why and trying to understand it, just blindly went into implementing a whole thing by giving so much bandwidth, so much time, and so much energy into it. And this is simply because you've not put in enough time into research. So to avoid the product death cycle, as David Blunt says, it is important that you understand the why behind what the customer wants and how to provide better. So since you know and you have shortlisted the kind of things that you need to do, how do you provide better? So this is where you try to go and actually sit down with customers. You have surveys, you sit down with them on one-to-one calls, or if you meet them in person, you try asking them questions. Again, getting back to the basics, which is asking questions. Ask them how you can provide better. And this will lead to the next problem statement. Where do they need help? If they need help, this is rightly where the product support and the consultants come into play. You go and sit with them and tell, hey, I think the customer needs help here, and why don't we set up tutorials? Why don't we set up training? This actually gives rise to a lot of new product things that you can do. I think the whole virtual training, the whole remote webinars, all of these came into place only because they understood where people need more help. Initially, it all started with just calls, giving support over calls. But I think currently we have a lot of mechanisms to reach out to these customers and actually understand where do they need help. So I think current way the technology is working is only because you are constantly in the journey to understand what customers need more. And that's what is going to lead you to the last important step. When is the right time to launch more? And again, connecting it back to the product death cycle, as David Blunt said, this is when you understand whether to launch now or whether to launch later, whether to launch more or whether to make any amendments to the current software. All of these is going to be addressed only when you know how to ask the right questions and how to ask the right basic questions, and boiling down to understanding the customer in the best manner as possible. So this is the third myth that we just broke. Next, moving on to the next misconception that people have about marketing. Marketing is something that comes in the end, just before launching a product. I think this also can be categorized into the statement category, where you just say, isn't that right? Like you read the statement twice and you're like, yeah, marketing is something that comes only when you're launching a product. So, these teams build the product, and you told me that, marketing is like a connector. So marketing team takes this product and takes it to the customers just before launching the product. Well, it might sound right, but marketing is something that starts right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, as in right from the ideation stage of what you're building, whether it's a product, whether it's a feature, whether it's an enhancement, whatever it is, marketing starts from the ideation stage and goes on till the execution stage. I think now I'm just connecting to whatever points that I kept stating from the start of the session. So from the ideation stage, since you have a fair knowledge about what kind of users tend to note your product, what is the market requiring, because it is constantly changing from time to time, it is very dynamic. I think just before this COVID-19 situation came into place, a lot of people did not really understand that they were in the need of a video conferencing tool. I mean, they did have one tool, but they did not understand, or they did not claim to think that this tool could be used for pretty much everything. This morning, I just read a post by a fellow person from a company called G2. He was just saying how a video conferencing tool is helping him stay connected, even in very quirky situations like attending a virtual birthday party, attending virtual coffee chats, attending, in fact, sorry to say, but attending funerals on video conferences, because people are not able to reach out to people because everybody is quarantined. So little did we imagine that a software could be used in different manners, in different functions, in different formats. So I think the market is extremely dynamic, and with different times, you have different capabilities of the same software being unleashed. And all of this come because of the user's need or the customer's need. When you know there is a need for this, that's when you rightly pitch in right from the ideation stage and give more inputs to the product development team, to the product management folks. And you guys sit together and ideate until execution. You try to understand what you're launching and see if there is a core story behind why you're launching what you're launching. Because when you don't know the existence of why your product is there, I think that pretty much defeats the whole purpose of you trying to do product marketing. Who are you launching it for? This is where all of the jargon terms like customer segmentation is action. It's actually knowing your market and seeing what kind of people require your specific product that you're building, and not anything like rocket science for you to not understand. Moving on to how are we launching it. So now you know what the target audience wants, and you know what product is being built. So now you start analyzing how are we going to launch it, what kind of channels are required. Like I think right now product hunt is such a big fashion, because a lot of products are going live on product hunt. So these are sort of product culture is dynamically changing, and these are all things that birth from the dynamic nature of the product market. So how are we launching it is very crucial, because at each point in time, you need to understand what are the right channels for product launch. And last but not the least, when are we launching? Is it the right time to launch? Is it the right audience that they will take time to notice such a product launch? I'm going back to the same ice cream discussion that we had in the beginning of the session, telling a kid whether it's the right time to start. A summer vacation is the right time to start an ice cream store, because obviously a lot of kids are going to come and buy ice cream. So a lot of parents are going to take them there for some entertainment. So when is also an important thing that you need to be considering for launching. So product launch is not something that is, I wouldn't say that marketers have like a checklist of things that you just need to do and product launch is done. But what I've done here is there are multiple things to take care of when it comes to product launches, when it comes to dealing with the market and actually introducing a new product to them. And to talk about it, it definitely takes a whole another session. But I'm not restricting it to only these points, but I have picked certain important points, and these are certain points that should never be skipped, at least when it comes to the whole wide ocean of things that are there when it comes to product launches. So I've just picked those specific ones that marketers should not forget doing, and I've just formed this as a small checklist. So feel free to use this checklist whenever you want. And again, repeating the point, product launch is not just restricted to this list here. Each company has a different way, a specific way of doing product launches. And what I've mentioned here is like a basic set of points that you as a marketer need to know. And there's a lot more to it, a lot more that I'm also learning, because I have not cracked everything in this market. I've not cracked the whole product space. So I'm also learning on a daily basis. And I think it's great to learn from each other in that aspect. And here we come to the last misconception. As product marketers, you only deal with customers. I think so far we have been speaking about customers, users, they're trying to use your product, they're purchasing your product, they're increasing sales, and the talk is only about customers. So is it all only with customers? Is it like they just start as customers? Well, not, because the reality is there is a lot out there. Somebody does not become your customer overnight. Like you just launch a product today, tomorrow nobody's going to come and say, hey, I'm your customer, I'm just going to buy your product. Because for a customer conversion, it takes so many more activities. This is just a sample process that you see on the screen. It's a dynamic marketing funnel. And this funnel rightly shows you that before a buyer becomes an actual or does an actual action of buying your product, he or she goes through a number of stages. And at each of this stage, you as a product marketer have a very important role to play. It starts with building the desirability in these people who come as leads or prospects. Let's go back and recollect what we discussed when it comes to working with your sales or pre-sales team. So we are saying that these sales people deal with leads and prospects on a daily basis. So this is how a customer starts with. They start as a lead or a prospect who just know that your product is existing, but who have still not made up their mind to actually consider buying your product. This is where you as product marketers pitch in and try to develop that interest, that desirability in these people, make them evaluate your product, make them evaluate and see how your product meets their needs, and ultimately make them buy the product. Again, moving to the next important challenge here. You might ask me, so that funnel is everything, right? You just told me. So it's going to have like 5 stages. And if I've cracked these 5 stages, I'm going to end up with like a huge line of customers. Unfortunately not, because these customers are people, or these leads and prospects are people before turning into customers, coming from different channels and different mediums. A quick snapshot might tell you like these are people who might see the webinars and come up. They might have heard about you from a friend. They might have heard about you from referrals. They might have seen your online ads, the ones you promoted on social media or the ones you promoted on AdWords. They might have come because they saw your website and they really liked what they saw. And there's another category altogether. There are people who purchase a product after knowing what it is. And there are people who purchase a product simply because they know what it is. So there are people who might come in with different stages of knowledge about your product. So you can't like really say, if I achieve those 5 stages shown here in the screen, I'm going to end up with a lot of customers, because each lead is different. And the way that each lead gets converted to a customer is different. So welcome to the world of inbound marketing, because inbound marketing is how you rightly build the desirability in these leads and prospects, engage them in the best possible manner, convert them to customers, and actually delight them more with your services. So a quick walkthrough of the 3 important stages, what is called as a marketing flywheel in today's scenario, because we are done with funnels. I think the funnel was definitely a catch point at a couple of years ago, but right now, considering the dynamic nature of the funnel, you can as well call it a flywheel or a dynamic funnel. So these 3 sections here on the screen show you the right techniques that marketers use in order to attract. By attracting, you're building a desirability in specific lead and the specific prospect as to why they should be seeing your product, or first of all, just considering your product. The second step is going to be engaging. Engaging is where you do all of the activities to make them understand what are your product capabilities, what is your product solving, what benefits your product is providing to address their needs and requirements. And the third step is when you actually go and make them purchase your product and delight them further by providing them more rewards, building a habit around your product usage so that they stick to your product and they turn as loyal customers. So pretty much to sum up all of the points of this particular journey into just one single equation, it is people who start as raw leads, and you start building your desirability quotient with them. You start engaging them, convert them to qualified leads, which is people who have agreed to purchase your product and who are at this point in time ready to show interest in your product. Moving on to converting them as customers, people who buy your product. And last but not the least, making them build a habit around your product, making them stick to your product, make them use more, and hence they become loyal customers and they start spreading messages and they start spreading goodwill about your product to a lot of other people. So to sum up the engagement pipeline, it's just this one equation, but definitely this includes a lot inside. A quick recap of what we saw as misconceptions. So I think this is a reverse learning that you just did for product marketing. See what product marketing is not, and hence understand what product marketing is. So these 5 points that I've stated here is actually what product marketing and product marketers are all about. Marketers need to know about the product. Marketing is dynamic and cross-functional. Your product story should focus more on customers than competitors. Marketing starts right at the ideation stage of a product, moving on till execution. Last but not the least, as product marketers, you handle the complete lead to customer conversion cycle. And each of these, if we have to go in detail, what I've given you is like a primer. What I've given you is a mindset for you to understand, hey, what I've been thinking about product marketing is not actually what product marketing is. To go into each of these points is another session or another story altogether, because each of these points involve a lot of activities inside. So now comes the section where most of you would, now get a fair idea about what product marketing can do to an organization and can actually help a business or a company. You might ask me, okay, so you spoke so much about product marketers. Is there like a set of skills they should be having? Well, yes, but what I would like to state before explaining what the skills of product marketers are is that the first and the foremost thing to actually become any kind of a product person, which I mean a product marketer, a product designer, a product developer, or a product manager, whatever it is, the first aspect of yours is to build a product mindset. It's all about building a mindset. It's like a habit that you're cultivating or a culture that you're cultivating. It's not like I'm giving you like a checklist with 5 skills and you put all of that in your resume and say, hey, I think I've crossed these 5 skills and I'm going to become a product marketer or a product manager. No, that's not going to happen. If you're not investing in these as a mindset, if you're not going to build a product thinking, a product culture, it's not definitely going to help you become the kind of any product person that you want. So let's start with the thinking, or let's start with the thought that building the product career is all about starting with a proper product mindset. So the first one is to be curious. So by being curious, I'm again reiterating the same point that you have to ask a lot of questions. So start with, start with your product website. Ask a lot of questions. See if what you're doing right now as a product marketer is something that you should be doing. How best can you enhance the situation? If you're not a product marketer now, and if you are this person who's just venturing into the product marketing space, ask a lot of questions to your seniors, to people who are currently there in the product marketing space. You can connect with these people on platforms like LinkedIn. Ask a lot of questions and understand what is happening in the industry. What kind of jobs do they do? When it comes to customers, ask a lot of questions to them. Ask them why they're using this. When they say this is a bug, this is an error, ask them why. If they ask you, I want this feature, ask them why. Why do you want this feature? I think that will help you understand why you're doing. Because when you don't know the why behind what, the what that you're doing doesn't make sense. So understand the reason as to why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to quoting the very famous Steve Jobs quote here: stay hungry, stay foolish. And a quick fun fact, stay hungry, stay foolish is a tagline that actually came, if you might not believe, it actually came in a pop culture magazine. It was called the Whole Earth magazine, and it was quite a famous magazine back in the US in 1974 when Steve Jobs just started out to build the whole Apple company out of his garage. And he was just taken, he's this person who really loves pop culture, about ecology. And this magazine rightly spoke about ecology, self-sustainism, counterculture, and all of the popular theories back then. And Jobs just picked up this weekly issue, and when he just turned around, the back cover of this magazine had "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And that quote really got gotten so much with him that he thought, hey, I think this is something that defines me. And that's when he rightly adapted that as a quote for himself. And that's how it caught upon millions of people around the world to stay hungry and stay foolish. So yeah, fun fact over. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is be curious, ask a lot of questions that will help you understand better about your job, about where you want to be, about your customers, and hence about your brand. Stay abreast of technology. So I think right now there is no dearth for technology, because you have a lot of mediums for you to understand about technology. There are a lot of online communities, there are a lot of Slack groups, there are many virtual conversations, coffee chats. You have a lot of seniors in your place who can help you. Sit down with them, talk to the right people, and follow the right channels to be updated about technology. Understand, the couple of examples that I was stating to you. I think this COVID time brought out a lot of technology stuff that most of us didn't know. Most of us didn't think that we would be using technology in the best way as possible as this. So understand what is happening with the market, and that's only when you know how technology is changing. And in this case, you should observe more and listen more. So start exploring tools, start reading about what kind of changes are happening. I think Medium is a very good channel for you to read a lot of articles about product, because product is a very trending hashtag on Medium actually. And for people who want to start as start with a primer for technology, I would say you can choose this book called Swipe to Unlock. I think I've mentioned this quite enough times. And these are a couple of my friends who wrote Swipe to Unlock. And it's the best primer that you can find to learn about technology and business motives and strategies that different businesses like Amazon, Spotify, and Facebook followed to get to a position that they are in today's date. So that's about staying abreast of technology. The next thing is going to be creative thinking. So you need not be an artist. I'm not saying because I'm an artist that I have an artistic thinking. No, you need not be a designer. You need not be a painter. Whatever it is that it takes to build a creative skill, because you can still try to build the creative thinking by reading a lot and getting to know about the basics of design. So I was telling you how the designer's role is so much overlooked when it comes to working with product marketing. And this is because product marketers and designers need to understand the whole motive behind building a creative. So I think somewhere go talk to your designers, go talk to, as I was telling you, go talk to your cross-functional teams. Try to understand the basics of why is something created in a way? Why is something existing like this? So start slowly building your mindset around thinking creatively. And this definitely comes only when you read a lot and try to network with a lot of people who are like-minded and who also believe in building this creative thinking. Oh yeah, moving on to design thinking. I think I want to break, here is the right myth that I actually want to break. People think design thinking is all about design. But honestly, design thinking has nothing to do with design. It's just design because you are designing your mindset that way. It has nothing to do with knowing Adobe tools, or it has nothing to do with learning about drawings and sketches and anything that is to do with UI or UX. Design thinking is understanding the core reason of the existence of something. It is understanding the product, the market, and building an iterative mindset, a mindset where you start testing and experimenting with a lot of assumptions that you have and break the myth in each stage. So there is a very successful entrepreneur, and his name is Alex Cowan. So Alex Cowan was once saying that it is important to have assumptions, but it is important not to just believe in assumptions, because assumptions is only to break and experiment with. The minute you know you have an assumption, start experimenting with the assumption. And the minute you see that the assumption is wrong, start changing the assumption, because assumptions are built in the product space only for you to experiment with and try to understand if it's right or wrong. The minute you know wrong, you can always get it back to right. So building that kind of an iterative mindset, in simple terms, you can consider this to be more like agile technology. You're trying to break some bigger task into smaller tasks and keep iterating, keep doing what people call as lean product management, what people call as lean thinking. The least amount of resources, but the best amount of experimentation as possible. To have that iterative mindset is important, because you can't crack there is no one answer to a lot of questions in product marketing. You can't just go and say, I know my customers overall. You can't walk up to your team and say, I know my customers, and you can't walk up to the customer saying, I know everything about this. So it is building that iterative mindset and trying at each point in time to understand and decipher and keep changing your observation from time to time. The next thing is going to be data-driven approach. So I was telling you how data is very important in the current space. So to know about data, it is important that marketers need to stay abreast of a lot of technology, a lot of tools that actually help them know about. Yeah, somebody has asked me this question about what is the book's name. So the book's name is Swipe to Unlock. I would leave it in the chat once the session is over. So yeah, getting back to our data-driven approach, there are a lot of channels that marketers do promotions on. Like let's just take everyday channels like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, a lot of channels. It's important to understand or have a data-driven approach towards the channels, because marketing is not just, as I was telling you, like a promotion, like a megaphone that you're going and putting things out there, but it is understanding the performance. It is understanding how these channels have performed and what kind of users come in from these channels. How's your product usage like, and how much budget you're allocating for all of these, and what metrics, like the cost that you have spent to acquire a customer, or the number of months that a customer sticks to your brand, which they call as the lifetime value of a customer. All of these matter. So this is not something that can be learned overnight. And honestly, I'm also learning a lot of things when it comes to data, because data is extremely dynamic. You have different things to learn about data on a daily basis. So start that mindset, start understanding the data or the metrics behind a lot of things that you as a product marketer do, or you as a product person help your product marketers, and together learn a lot of these why and the reason behind the existence of a lot of things. So the next that I have, and the last section for today, is going to be popular product marketing trends, or rather popular marketing trends that a lot of product marketers today are exposed to and currently on the move. Podcasts. So I think podcasts need not have any explanation from my end, because there is no dearth for podcasts right now. I think podcasts is not something new, because podcasts have been existing right from 10 years back as well. But now it's again caught upon as a major trend, and there are a lot of companies, a lot of personal individuals doing podcasts today. Like I host a podcast on behalf of Zoho. I host a podcast on behalf of the broadcast that I'm associated with, on behalf of Lone Tag that I'm associated with. So podcast gives you that experimentation medium for you to talk to a lot of business leaders, connect with a lot of people. At the same time, as a listener, you can actually understand a lot of things happening in the market. I think there was a time when people used to say Google as a verb. Like, you don't know, go Google it. I think right now, the emphasis on Google is still there. But if people don't know something, they're actually resorting to books and podcasts to get to know about it. When people want to know about product marketing, they're going and listening to a podcast. So if I have to know about product designing, I actually go and explore what kind of podcasts are there, and who can I follow, and whose talks can I follow to understand better. Such is the power of podcasts in today's market. So moving on, we have VR demos. I think as kids, we remember the time that we used to have science exhibitions back in school, where our parents used to take us to a lot of exhibitions, and we used to see live setup and live stalls and demos of what is happening to the product. And this can be both a consumer product as well as a cloud-based or a SaaS application. Today, we've gone one step further with the advent of virtual reality. There was a time when slowly this physical exhibition was turned into an exhibition where marketers or people who represent the company have a lot of laptops and they show live demos. Right now, what is happening is the VR demo has caught up big time, that people are just using wearable technology to just see what's happening. So in most of the events and trade shows today, people use wearable glasses where they just put on the glasses and they have a virtual reality demo of their whole product being shown there, and the different benefits and the different features of the product being highlighted to them. And people are really enjoying this, because the whole trend has made people accept and embrace technology as possible. And I can't be happier enough as a product person, because I love how technology is shaping and empowering people in the community. Next is omni-channel targeting. So initially, we did have a lot of channels that people resorted to when it came to product promotions, like social media channels, like then it moved on to AdWords, it moved on to AdSense, and a lot of these channels. So people initially were resorting to only one channel, and then came this whole marketing automation term where people started understanding that it's important to know about multi-channel marketing to bring in customers from different channels. So there are now product teams that focus on each channel individually. They have social channel, they have something called as a webinar as a channel, they have website as a channel, they have SMS as a channel, and so on. That is when the whole multi-channel rage got up. Now we are in this age of omni-channel targeting. So multi-channel and omni-channel, how different they are is when it comes to multi-channel, you use multiple channels to bring in customers or leads and prospects. In case of omni-channel, you track the path taken by just one person, but in different manner. That is, if you have 100 customers, for each of those 100 customers, you track the path taken by them in multiple channels. So the omnipresence of this particular lead across multiple channels, the data that you collect is called omni-channel targeting. And this helps marketers to do ultimate personalization because you have all the data that you have right in your hands. The next three things that I would like to combine would be live chat, push notifications, webinars, and training. So right now in a webinar, and I'm actually giving some inputs, I'm sharing some of my learnings, which is making or enabling learning as simple as possible. A lot of on-demand trainings are happening on a daily basis. We have live chat and push notifications. How many of us use Swiggy and Uber Eats and all of these apps that give us push notifications, especially during this COVID time? Uh, Websites have put up live chat as much as possible to address people's issues. If they have any connectivity problem, if they have any usage problems, these consultants are using live chat on the website to connect with customers. So this very moment shows us how live chat push notifications are used as an important engagement channels for people to connect with customers. The next two things would be affiliate marketing and influencer marketing. Affiliate marketing is a new, I wouldn't call it a new thing. It's been in the market again, like podcasts, but a lot of brands are sort of embracing it now. So, as a brand can have a lot of affiliates, certain sections of people, and these people called affiliates bring in more leads to the brand. And for each lead that this affiliate brings, this affiliate gets a reward. So, it's like a referral system, and you get rewarded when the referral that you have brought actually uses the product in the best manner. So, I'm going to give my referral more rewards because they have referred somebody to my brand. That's how affiliate marketing is catching up in big time. When it comes to influencer marketing, people are resorting to thought leaders out in the market. So let's take, say, the same example that we had, the webinar conference. So people talk to a lot of thought leaders and business magnets and leadership gurus today, and ask them to come online and share their experience about why this particular software is actually helping the market deal with a lot of requirements and needs in this current space. So it so happens that when a thought leader in a market actually promotes or endorses a brand, there is more usage to it and there is more attention created towards it. That's how this whole aspect of having influencer marketing is being built up. So next, the last question, the last thing that we would deal is AI and machine learning. I think when I recently spoke to somebody named Shubha, who is the enterprise relationship manager of LinkedIn Learning, she was telling me how even an agricultural startup today is wanting AI. AI is caught up big time with any kind of startup and any kind of industry. And it's so good to see how technology is enabling so many industries get there and reap benefits out of what they are building. So these are some of the popular marketing trends right now. And if you would like to talk about any of these in detailed manner, I would be so ready to do it because it's what I'm passionate about and knowing. So a quick recap for us today is what is product marketing and what are the important aspects that product marketers take care of, and what are some myths. That's how we learned reverse product marketing. We learned what product marketing is not, and that's how we learned what product marketing is. And moving on to a dive into the key skills of a product marketer and what should they know and what kind of activities they do on a daily basis. And yes, last but not the least, we saw about popular marketing trends. So I hope you enjoyed today's session, and this is an attempt of me to give you the whole information about the basics of product marketing. And I know there is a lot of product marketing, and I would be happy to cover all of that in detailed sessions. But this, I hope, has given you a clear idea about what product marketing actually is and what people get to do in product marketing. And I saw a couple of questions, so let me try addressing those questions. And I'm live on video now. And thanks for listening to the session. Thanks to GUVi for organizing this and making me speak. So can BTech graduate be a product marketer? Of course, yes. I am an engineer. I did my BE. I did BE in ECE, Electronics and Communication Engineering. I know somewhere my tech knowledge I want to put to use in a way that is building more empathy and connectivity with people. That's why I took product marketing right out of my college. I graduated in 2016. So I went into product marketing right after my graduation. And I learned a lot. So I started with as a very basic person, trying to learn a lot of skills throughout these couple of years. So yes, if you have the right interest to deal with customers, and if your passion is about building a story around products and building meaningful products for people, product marketing is definitely a career for you. So yeah, a couple of them wanted the link to the podcast that I host. So check out these.
In the GPT program, right? If you want to do two, type in dual. If you want to do three, type in triple specialization.
I'm just typing a couple of names on chat. So these are the podcast names that the three podcasts that I currently host. All of these could be found in Spotify.
After
So
the
you can just go and search on Spotify.
and they want to do data visualization with that book. The simple reason is that
Yes, and yes, Swipe to Unlock is the book, and some I think GUVi's person has already added the link. I hope you really get to read the book. It's definitely interesting, and it's definitely interesting for the fact that it covers all the basics of technology that you might want to know, and actually gives the business motives behind a lot of companies today. So it's like a primer that you can use to get started with your whole passion for technology.
for the AI part, you don't
So
require
I hope today's session was useful for you all. And if you may have any questions, my LinkedIn connection, my handle is mentioned there in the screen. My Twitter handle is also mentioned, and you can tweet to me. You can send in messages. Whatever it is, I would love to be connected, and I would love to know your thoughts on product marketing or anything about product and technology. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope you have a clear idea about product marketing and you took back some takeaways. And again, thanks to GUVi for organizing this. Thank you. So I'm available here. So if there's anything. So
with the next steps.
oh, I'm sorry, I've gone on mute. I'm so sorry. I'm not too sure on why got into mute. But yeah, can you suggest some courses to know about product marketing, Nikhil? Yes, definitely. But more than courses, that I would say, read a lot about product marketing. You know, I would suggest some people that you can follow. You can follow Dave Garat, who's a product marketing leader in the space. You can follow Seth Godin. You can subscribe to the newsletters. Newsletters are definitely a very good means for you to get more knowledge about product marketing. You can subscribe to some good newsletters from Neil Patel. You can subscribe to Seth Godin. You can subscribe to Bernadette Jiva. All of these are people who write very good content when it comes to knowing about marketing as it is, and how should your messaging be, how should your content strategy be, and what are some basics that you should know to understand your customers. And these are values that you pick up. Again, one thing that I would like to reiterate is product marketing is not like I'm giving you a checklist, you do all of this, you become a good product marketer. I still learn, I keep learning. It's a mindset. So I would say start developing yourself to develop that mindset, and slowly all the other things would fall into place. So that's so you can watch a lot of videos on say product marketing. And to Nikhil, you can actually listen to a lot of podcasts now. I think a lot of podcasts are available to get to know about any product topic that you want. As I said, subscribe to newsletters, read a lot of books. Uh, I wouldn't say read specifically product marketing books, but any kind of books that talk about product. Like, for example, if you're interested in knowing about Apple as a company, go pick up books, or read articles that tell you what is so intriguing about how the company is built. If you follow certain leaders, business leaders, go read about them, follow them on social channels, try to see what is it that they are doing differently, and that's how you understand the traits of these people and try to see how you can do. So I'm just typing some people's names because Seth Gordon. So I'm just typing out some people's name. Pardon me, I'm just typing quickly. So if there are any spell errors, pardon me for it. She's trying to locate. So these are some people that I follow personally, and I've learned a lot from them. So on a daily basis, I'm still learning. So I hope you also get to learn a couple of things from them. So yeah, and yes, as Surya rightly pointed out, product marketing is something that you cannot learn from courses. I mean, that is pretty much for everything. I would say approach courses with a mindset to pick up thoughts to add on to something that you are already doing, but not something that can train you, because you have to be in the product space to understand the basics. Courses or degrees, whatever, adds to gives you a better scope to connect with a lot of people, and adds more meaning to what you already know about products, and give you different viewpoints. So that's how I see courses to be. So if I'm earning a course today, yes, I do get a certification, but it's not like that certification makes me the certified product marketer, because or certified product manager, anything for that fact when it comes to product, because it's more of a value that you add to the already existing product knowledge that you have. So don't look at a course like as an expenditure to learn marketing or to learn about products. Talk to a lot of people, connect with a lot of communities. You can connect with communities like women in product. You can connect with communities like product folks. So these are communities that will help you, that will connect you with the right people, or rather, I should put it forth like people who share the similar mindset as yours. You can learn from each other really, and start. If you are a person who's interested in writing, start penning down your thoughts. If you've learned something about product marketing, or if you've picked up a good lesson on product, start tweeting that out. Start noting that out as a LinkedIn post, so that a lot of people in this in the product space can get to know about you and your offerings. So yeah, that's how you slowly get there into the product space. I hope your questions are all answered, and thanks again to everybody who liked the session. It's been my pleasure to talk to all of you. I'm pretty much available on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So if you've got anything to tell me, anything to talk to me, more than happy to do so.